Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 438.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the CashFlow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other CashFlow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Massey, and I am glad that you are here today because here's what's going down. What's interesting to note is that what you are today isn't necessarily what you might become tomorrow. More importantly than all of that, where you start isn't necessarily where you stay. That's a long way of saying that becoming a business owner, becoming an investor, learning to grow cash flow is a process. And I think today's guest will help you understand those very things. Because many of us don't even realize that we probably already are an investor. We just don't think like we should just yet. I have with me today none other than Moran, and he is interesting to me. Former IDF. That's also Israel Defense Forces soldier. He is now a businessman, investor, founder of ABD Assets. And what I think we are going to learn today is how to persevere, how to make stuff happen, and most importantly, how to go out there and build some cash flow. So help me welcome Moran. Moran, you there?
Yes, excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
You are quite welcome, sir. I'm glad that you are indeed here today. So this being your first time here, I'd have to ask you the same question I tend to ask everybody else the first time that they're here. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I tend to look at today's business owners a lot like yesterday's superheroes. So, you know, Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, Superman, etc. And I think entrepreneurs and superheroes have a ton of things in common. Chief among them is that as an entrepreneur, occasionally I can be in my own head, think like I'm flying around with a cape and saving people using our products and services and ideas. But also, like a superhero, an entrepreneur has a beginning. So if you think about Spider-Man, for example, there was a time where, you know, he was just a kid going to school, doing his thing, taking some photos, trying to make ends meet. And then one day he gets bit by the spider and suddenly discovers he's got some special abilities and things to do. And now he's got to choose whether to use this newfound ability for good or evil. So my question to you is as follows. A lot of people know you for many different things today. Obviously being an investor, obviously starting up, obviously the App Store, all of these things. But what we want to know is, before all of that, before what we know you for today, who is Moran Pobert?
That's a great question. I think at the end of the day, I'm just a human trying to grow and contribute as much as I can. I think that's and at the same time trying to have as much fun as I can in this world. That's in a nutshell what I'm trying to be here.
Yeah, I totally get that. Now, one of the interesting things that I saw is that you say that you are looking to buy and invest in good businesses. Everyone says that, but you say good businesses and people. Help me understand what that means.
Yeah, well, to put it in a simple way, we're looking to buy businesses, and the best businesses for us are businesses that we can eventually manage well and grow. At least initially, that's what we're thinking. So, I mean, any deal for us is a good deal. For me, it's more about finding the right management team and making sure that I can finance that deal. If I can do that, and I know that I have the skills to grow the business, or at least I know the people who can grow the business, that's for me is a good deal.
Totally understood. So did you just wake up one day and go, you know what? I'm going to buy businesses? How did we get to this point?
Not at all. So I started business from scratch. You know, most of the books out there are talking about go start a business, do whatever you can to get some initial capital to grow that business and hopefully grow a successful business eventually. So I grew 3 successful businesses, but what I realized is that I'm not the person who like to manage the day-to-day in a business. I just don't like small details. I like to be the person who is calling the shots, or more importantly, I just like to own the business versus running the business day to day. And I think I learned those lessons. It's funny from watching TV shows like Shark Tank and Dragon's Den for the UK and Canadian version, and The Profit. Like, I love those TV shows. And those TV shows, I remember just looking at them and I'm like, damn, I want to be like those guys on Shark Tank. And that's what led me to this world that I'm in right now, of buying businesses, of investing in businesses. Even in the people that you see on Shark Tank, like Kevin O'Leary and some of the other guys, some of them do use only their own capital, but many of them have their own funds or capital that they're raised, and they're using that money to invest in those businesses. And I mean, the world of venture capital, and even I have even people in the private equity world and VC firms, they're not using their own money to invest in companies and buy companies, but they use either institution capital or private money that they raised. So that's kind of like what I'm in right now. That's what I thought that I want to do. I think this business is the perfect business for people who are ADD, who want to be involved in many things at the same time, because it really gives me the opportunity to be involved in many industries with many people, amazing people. Like, I had a call this week with a business owner who's running his business for more than 20 years, and you need to feel that the conversation with him, like the passion that he got about his business. And I mean, that's his baby, and he's thinking about selling it, and it's so cool to have those conversations with those people who just love what they're doing, and they're thinking or even having in mind the opportunity to sell those businesses to you. And I'm just grateful that I have this option to do that.
Indeed. Totally understood. So tell us a little bit about the first one. Like, what were you doing before you bought a business the first time, and how did you come up with the idea that, you know what, that's what I want to do?
Yeah, so I started many years ago. Like, my first business was 11 years ago. I've been involved mostly in online businesses. So I had a successful actually marketing agency, e-commerce store, and I had a software business as well. And you can say that my first successful acquisition was actually an app company, and that's before I even knew about this word. So I bought an app business that was not really successful, but I saw an opportunity in the App Store back then, when the App Store was really just in the beginning stages. And I saw an app that ranked really high, and at the same time I thought, hey, I could do something similar. But I saw a similar app that I thought I could change a few things here and there and make it better than the app that ranked really well. So that's what I did. I bought that app. We pretty much just changed the design, changed the code a little bit. And back then we sent paid advertising, which back then, I mean, people looked at me like crazy that I sent paid advertising for people to install apps. Obviously nowadays, it's a huge industry. Like, the ad tech industry is huge and insane. But back then, I remember Facebook. I was one of the first people who sent installs basically from Facebook to the App Store, and that's what eventually led me to rank really high in my app, and combine that with other. Back then, you call probably today as well, ASO, which is like SEO but for the App Store. So we combined those things, and that basically led me to rank that app really high. It was in the top 100 in more than 100 stores in the App Store, including all the big countries. And yeah, that was a really good experience of buying something that wasn't that successful, bringing in some of my experience, some of the people that I had around me who had the experience in that space. And yeah, we created something really beautiful.
I find it interesting that you took something that you say wasn't that successful. There's a number of people who, when looking at something to purchase, they want it to be shiny, new, running perfectly, etc. It sounds like there was what was attractive about something that maybe had a few dents on it that made you go, you know what, this is the one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it's a combination of few things. So first of all, I was lucky to have a circle of people who one of the close friends of mine made a lot of money in the App Store back then, and I knew about the potential in there. And I saw the app. So I'll tell you about my app. My app was basically a very simple app. We did tips for the iPhone. So basically, everyone nowadays, the Apple got their own basically default app, their own version of that app, where you go into your iPhone. There's an app on how to use the iPhone more productively.
Hold on,
and you
hold
just
on,
have
hold
few.
on. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
You just made an app about how to use the phone?
How to use the phone more productively. Exactly.
What?
So it's like an ebook with kind of like a unique kind of like visuals and things like that on how to use the phone more productively. So even how to do things like screenshots. It explains you with videos or articles or screenshots on how to do that well. So yeah, just simple things like that it just helps you use your iPhone better.
Wow. Okay. All right. So how did you come up with that idea? I mean, you woke up one day and just said, I know, I'm going to make an app that teaches people how to use the phone. I mean, what on earth leads to that thought process?
Not at all. So like I said, my friend had made a lot of money in the App Store, and the way that he did it, he basically found an app that ranked really high in its category, and he said to himself, hey, I can do something better. And I pretty much did the exact same thing, just in a different category.
Yeah, but okay, I hear that. But what I'm saying is, why that I mean, come on. Like, how to use the phone? That was really, I mean, you had a lot of apps to choose from. What was so special about how to use the phone? That does not sound right.
That's a really fair question. I think the main reason for me was, first of all, I came from the space of content marketing. So I had a lot of websites back then. I had more than 100 websites ranking different keywords on Google. So I thought, hey, I already have content writers. I can pretty much create the same content that other app had and make it better. So first of all, I have access to that already. I have access to better designers. And all I need is just maybe a little change in the code, some help with my marketing knowledge, and people that work with me at the same time to provide some paid advertising to that app. So I thought, hey, I could probably get that up get that app up within a month or two, and that's before even seeing that app that I eventually bought. So just thinking to myself, hey, I could probably create something like that from scratch pretty fast. I think that's the main reason that I got into it. Obviously, I could go into games and more complicated things and maybe more exciting things and more, just exciting and fun. But I think just finding the low-hanging fruit, to be honest. I saw an app that just was horrible. The design was bad, the content was bad, and I thought, hey, I could do better and rank better than him, so why not?
Well, what's interesting about this is, again, like I know, that is not a common decision. Many people would have chosen games, productivity, something other than an app just to show you how to use the phone. But what I like about it, it says a couple of things. It says you don't necessarily have to be first, but it also says you just have to be a little bit better, or in this case, it sounds like a lot better.
Yep, I don't think you need to be a lot better. I think in any business out there, like, no one is really inventing the wheel nowadays. Everything out there, like even Facebook, Google, they're not the first search engine or first social media company, right? So it's a matter of just doing things better a little bit. I don't think anyone nowadays is creating something from scratch. Everything is a little change for something that's already existing. And for me back then, it just was a low-hanging opportunity. I just didn't know I don't know how to code myself. I knew marketing. I knew that I have access to content writers or content creators. I knew that I had good designers. So I thought, hey, I can do that. Why would I want to go into a space that I don't know anything about, like games, for example, and reinvent the wheel or just start to learn something from scratch? I think that's a big mistake that I see people are doing. They're starting something, and then after a few months, they're either quitting that area and starting something completely from scratch, and they're literally just wasted months or sometimes years of their lives learning or doing something completely different without using anything that they already know.
Yeah, I get that totally. I get that totally. Okay, so take us on the journey. How do we go from one app to where you are today? What was at what point do you go, hey, let's do this again?
Yeah, so first of all, that app made me really good money, and before that, even I had some successful businesses as well. So I made some money, but then it just I think the biggest realization came when I realized that, hey, I just don't like my day to day. I really just suffered in my day to day, and it's not like I didn't have the lifestyle. Like I traveled around the world. I've been in pretty much any country that I want. When I was in my young 20s, like I lived really really well, and I still didn't enjoy my day to day. So I just remember, obviously, I came to a conclusion, hey, I don't want to live this way. I want to do something that I enjoy doing day to day. And for me, it's realizing that I want to be involved, like I said before, more involved in the big decisions, more involved in, I guess, the art of the deal, and just more involved with people in general versus, I don't know, like running marketing campaigns or looking at small details and things like that. So for me, that's what started kind of like my path of changing what I'm doing. And even with that app, I mean, it made really, really good money. But what really, I guess, changed my path is Apple one day came to me and told me, hey, sorry, you can't upload the new version for that app because we came with our own version. So that business pretty much got shut down one day. I mean, very, very
no
significant
notice, right?
revenue.
You just woke up and you're like, what does this mean?
Exactly. And I mean, it's like I was really worried. At the same time, I had a lot of savings, so I didn't really worried. But I guess I'm really grateful that happened, because without that, I wouldn't be where I am right now, right? So I guess some of those things and just other things that happened in my life just made me realize, hey, I don't care what I'm going to do next. I just need to make sure that I'm enjoying my day to day. And if I'm enjoying my day to day, I know that results will come. And yeah, that's kind of like at the same time, probably watching those TV shows and getting to know different people and mentors that are doing what I want to do kind of led me to this path.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's more of a quality of life decision than you are making necessarily a quantity of life, or how much stuff you can accumulate around yourself.
100%. Yeah.
What's interesting, though, is I think there's a number of people who can relate to what you're saying. I mean, basically, you're saying it was good enough, and I wasn't going to voluntarily shake up this boat, but because the boat got shook, I had to go find something else. Is that accurate?
You could say so. Yeah.
So with that being the case, what was some of the initial thoughts when you get the message that, hey, not only can you not do what you're going to do, but this it would be safe to say that this caught you off guard. How did you go about developing a plan and figuring out, all right, well, here's the next step?
Yeah, so it's been many years ago, it's a few years already that passed, but I think eventually it just got to a point where I have lots of free time, and I traveled enough, I partied enough, I did anything that I could think of, and then it's just a matter of thinking, hey, okay, what's next? And I think the biggest thing for me, I realized it's more about contribution and growing, and not just my selfish, I guess, goals. I mean, yeah, getting things and achieving goals and all that stuff and getting some more money is great. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong about it. But then I think the next stage in life and fulfillment and just feeling good with yourself is doing something that helps others as well. I mean, helping people to use their iPhone is great, but I think there are other better things you can do with your life, at least from my standpoint back then.
Yeah, no, totally understood. But hey, knowing how to use my iPhone is important.
Yeah, true.
There's no doubt about that. Got it. So what have been some of the new things that you've done since then, in terms of types of businesses that you purchased, ran, etc., that have gotten you to where you are today? Hello there, entrepreneur. This is Jay Massey, and what I want to say to you is that the number one mistake that I have ever made in business, number one, has been waiting too long to do the books, waiting too long to get the bookkeepers, the accountants, the CPAs, the CFOs involved, and I don't want you to make that same mistake. That mistake cost me over 6 figures, and now for a significant discount, you have the ability to get your books together using FreshBooks. So what I want you to do is I want you to go over to gofreshbooks.com/cashflowdiary. Again, that's gofreshbooks.com/cashflowdiary. FreshBooks is the easy to use software designed to help you, the small business owner, the freelancer, get organized and save time on invoicing, getting paid faster, keeping those books in order so that it becomes a bonus for you to do your taxes as opposed to a burden. Go over to gofreshbooks.com/cashflowdiary and get started today. And now let's get back to the rest of the story.
Yeah, so now I'm at a point that I've got amazing partners, first of all, and we're looking at pretty much any industry. Like, just to give you an idea, my main partner, Carl Allen, he did more than 250 transactions in his life, acquisitions that he did for himself and companies he worked for. So his track record basically allows me to look at pretty much any deal. Like, we're closing a deal right now in a basically a loan care deal in New York. We're closing a deal in engineering business in the UK. And I mean, we're looking at pretty much any industry right now. We talked this week with a cemetery in the US. We're looking at deals in Australia and Canada. So those are our four main markets.
Did you say cemetery?
Yep, you got it.
I mean, I heard it, and I'm like, did he really say cemetery? Nah, he didn't say cemetery. He said cemetery. Yeah. You're going to have to explain that one.
So, to be honest, it's a really new deal that came through from one of our partners. And he basically, what he told me is, look, this guy, he want to sell, and I got a potential buyer for this cemetery. We can buy it and flip it within a few months for a very nice profit. So I'm like, cool, let's look at the numbers. And I literally just got the details to that. I didn't even have a chance to look at them yet. But it just to give you an idea that, hey, I'm hoping to look at pretty much any deal. What I realize is that, and again, I'm not thinking myself of an expert in any industry, but the way that I look at business right now, at least after what I've been through, is that business is just business. It's just making sure that more money coming in than money going out. And when I have the basic realization that if I look at the numbers right, if I have the right systems, the right people, and the right exit strategy, then I can go into any sector. And I have obviously partners that they have the track record, they have the experience, and we try to do our best to also build our contacts to bring in more industry experts. But personally, I don't care about the industry. I don't care about the country as well. Although I would obviously do my due diligence to go into a new country to make sure that the bank laws are the same and I can take the same loans, and I can do asset-based lending and things like that we can do in the UK and the US easily. But yeah, I don't care. As long as the business is, we can buy the business and we can finance it and there are good people, I'm all down for that.
Yeah, I totally understood. Now, what has been some of the industries or businesses that you've enjoyed the most?
So for me, because my background, I think I really like, first of all, businesses that are sales and marketing driven. And we've been involved in marketing agencies. We did a merger between two marketing companies. So I love that, the idea that you can bring, I think in any industry, it's not just that area, but in that area, what we did is we bought basically two companies that had tons of synergies and cross-selling opportunities. So for example, let's say we had a web design company. At the same time, we had a company that did social media. So just imagine what's possible there. One business got their own expertise, their own list of clients and specific service that they have. And the second business got their own expertise, their own list of clients. Just imagine the cross-selling opportunities there. You can sell to that one business, the other service, and vice versa. And the synergies, you can save a lot of money on. Just think about bringing two companies to the same office. That alone could save you so much money in the bottom line. And I just love to see those opportunities. And that's my goal right now, to just build those mini roll-ups in different industries and grow by acquisitions. I think that's what many people that I talk to, business owners, they're missing. They have maybe great businesses, but there's a limit to how much you can grow internally. And that's why the biggest businesses in the world right now, like, I don't know, look at Facebook, right? They're, the only way for them to grow and meet their shareholder demands is to buy other companies, is to buy WhatsApp and Instagram and all those other acquisitions that they're doing. And I think that many small business owners are missing that opportunity. They're not even thinking about that. So that's, at least for me, what is most exciting. And I'm trying to look right now into doing IPOs and taking companies public. And I'm not there yet, but I have people around me who are doing it day to day. So that's kind of like where I'm trying to head towards to.
Totally understood. Now, Facebook is obviously a great example of figuring out what do I buy this week in order to grow.
Yep.
I think one of their most recent acquisitions was an app TBH. I'm not quite sure what they're going to do with that one. But hey, to each their own. But the question then becomes, when you're out there looking for something to buy, are you trying to build and buy to achieve a theme? Because when it comes to Facebook, it's like, the things that they're good, it's not like they're going to go buy a medical company. Who knows? Maybe they will. But that's not something that you would think of. Hey, Facebook is going to buy this, hospital or medical company, etc. Because it's so far outside of what they currently do. Is there a theme to the types of businesses that you're looking for and the goals that you're trying to achieve, so that maybe you have a vertical that you just kind of work in?
Yeah, so for me, it's more about the kind of like the circle that I have around me and the people that I have around me to bring me deal flow. And based on that, I kind of build my strategy. So just to give you an example, there are tons of Amazon businesses right now. You probably heard about them. They're doing white labeling products. They're importing from China, etc., etc.
Yep.
So if you take those individual businesses, let's say you take a 1 million a year business selling on Amazon. If that business will try to sell on his own, he'll probably get 2-3 times multiples his yearly profit.
Sure.
What we have right now is a potential buyer who's looking to buy a 10 million a year business selling on Amazon. So our plan, for example, in that sector right now is to do some kind of a quick paper merger or roll up, or however we will be able to structure that, and to basically tell those small businesses, hey, come join us in a group, and instead of selling your business for 2-3 times, come join our group. And because you'll be part of a larger group that makes much more revenues, obviously depends on how much companies we can bring, but let's say we bring in 10 companies, right? Each of them doing 1 million a year. And we can get it to a business that's doing 10 million a year. That business obviously depends on the profit and all that, right? And obviously whatever we come to negotiate, but let's assume that the business is doing 2 million a year in profit, in EBITDA, in pre-tax profit. We can probably sell that business for anywhere between 7 to 12 times multiples. So we can basically, with our team, make the difference in the multiples and tell the small business, hey, come join our team. You'll, instead of selling your business for 2-3 times, come join our team. We'll pay you 6 times, for example. And if we can sell it for 10, we can make the difference. And we can either buy them directly, or we can just basically merge them on paper. So that's kind of like, that's just one play that we're doing right now in that sector, because we have a buyer in that sector who's looking for big businesses. And same goes for other industries. Like I mentioned with the cemetery one, there's a potential buyer there who's buying those cemeteries. Is a trade buyer. So he's looking for those deals, but he's looking for them in a specific stage. So we know that we can buy that cemetery at stage 1, maybe change some things, take it to stage 2, but then the buyer will be more interested. So as soon as we have those plans in mind, we can go and find the right deals and just do our things based on that. So it's not like I have a specific sector in mind that I focus only on that one, but it's more about looking at my circle, who can bring what, who can add value, who want to be involved, and based on that, creating our strategies.
Got it. That makes perfect sense because wherever the resources are, it's going to make the easiest acquisition for you instead of having to start from scratch over and over again.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Got it. Totally understood. Now, there's a number of people who I'm sure that are listening who would like to do what you do. They would love to be in a position to say, hey, all I do all day is, look at opportunities and buy businesses. What would you say to that person or those groups of individuals who are thinking about that idea? What would be something that would help them begin to think properly, act properly, and put themselves in a state of deal flow?
Yeah. So first of all, I think it just making the decision that it's what you want to do. Like anything in life, unless you're making the decision, hey, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, you're not going to do it. Because most people in books and seminars and things like that out there, they're talking about creating a startup. And most startups are going to fail. I mean, I'm not trying to be pessimist. Those are just the stats out there. So it's first of all making the decision, hey, I want to go into a business that's already existing for a few years. It's already skipped the startup phase, and I can take it from there. And then it just, I don't want to sound like, but I'll just tell you what I've done. I basically found mentors, right? Either mentors that I paid for a small fortune, literally. I paid multiple six figures for different mentors in this space alone. I begged. I worked for free for people who are partners in VC firms and private equity firms. And sometimes, and I'm not trying to sell myself too much, but me personally, if someone will bring me a deal, I'm happy to give him equity in that deal, and he could watch my back and basically learn what I'm doing. So any deal like that, I think, could work. For me personally, I've done all of them, and I think for everyone, everyone, something else will work for him.
Got it. Makes sense. Totally understood. Now, there's a number of people who have listened this far and are probably really intrigued about, you, ABD Assets, and everything that you guys are over there doing. What's going to be the best way for them to reach out to you, find out more about what you guys got going on, and who knows, maybe they have something for you? Yeah,
so if someone is listening and you got a business you want to sell or know someone or just want to get into this world of buying businesses and learn how to do that, I think for now, my personal email, just feel free to email me. It's my name, Moran, Moran, at my company at abdassets.com.
Excellent. So as we wind down here, I have a question for you because I'm curious to hear what your answer is. Let's pretend for a moment that someone's listening and they're thinking about, they've been thinking about becoming that entrepreneur, building their business, growing their cash flow. And as you know, anytime we say, you know what, I'm going to go do this great thing, there's often, in the back of our head, this voice. And that voice tends to remind us of what we can't do, why we can't do it, and who are we to think that we're going to be able to own multiple businesses, etc. And for some people, they're related to that voice. So my question to you is as follows. Let's pretend they're actually going to do what you suggest, and they're going to do so in the next 48 hours. What would you suggest that they do to get kick-started and make it finally happen?
I love it. So first of all, it's such a great question. So first of all, they should tell themselves, and that's what I remind myself every day, is that hell on earth would be to meet the person you could have been. I don't remember who said it, where I heard it, but I love it. It just made understanding that, hey, life is short. If you're not going to do it now, you're going to regret. So just do it, right? And then I think, bigger people than me said it, find someone who's already doing what you want to do, or someone who's already where you are, where you want to be in 5, 10 years, 20 years, and do everything that he tells you. Everything. Work for him for free, beg, I don't know, be his driver, like literally be around him, learn everything from him, whatever it takes, and you'll get there as well.
I like it 100% because that is so much of what it takes to ever understand most of everything that we're all trying to get out there and make happen and get done. I definitely want to be the first to say thanks for taking the time to contribute your knowledge, your insights, as well as your wisdom here with us today at the Cashflow Diary, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me. Had a great time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for you to move at the speed of instruction. What does that mean? he gave you his personal email. That doesn't happen a lot. So what I would do is probably go email him. Why? Because you know he said something that was interesting to you. And more importantly than that, the only way you're going to ever find out if an opportunity is going to work is to take that step. So go make it happen. It's been fun talking to you guys today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.